We're going to go across and feature now yet another startup here on Startup Central. We're going to put the spotlight now on SILA. SILA very recently raised about 56 crore rupees from Norwest Partners. SILA is present in 75 cities. It services 30 million square feet of assets. Yes, that's right. This is a startup that has something to do with real estate, and it's managed to do a fundraise, which I think is a challenge of sorts in anyway, and this is the new economy we're talking about. So joining us to talk about SILA, what they do, how they managed to impress Norwest is Rishabh Vora, the co-founder and CEO at SILA. Thanks so much, Rishabh, for joining us here. This is Nayantara in the New Delhi studio. Like I said, you're from the new economy, you're a startup, you do something with real estate. Tell us what that is, because I think it's pretty commendable that anybody wants to give anybody money that dabbles in real estate in today's day and age.
Yeah, it's a touchy, it's not the best word out there, but yeah, so just giving you a brief on what we do. So we're really a real estate services company. We are not into development hardcore. So we have three service offerings to break it down. One is facilities management. So we actually operate or manage the real estate post-construction. That's the one that has a lot of employees and operates in pretty much every city in this country. So it's overseeing your cleaning, your maintenance, your electrical, your plumbing, security, all of that. The second division, we actually build offices. So it's interior contracting. We build offices, we build restaurants, etc. So we're turnkey interior contractors. So we build a real estate, we manage it. That's division 2. And the third thing we do is we do a lot of project management and real estate advisory. So it's typically advising capital providers, which is NBFCs, private equity funds, and doing technical due diligence for them and reporting and stuff like that. And you can imagine with what's going on in real estate, that's actually a very busy division for us now over the past couple of years.
And is that your busiest division and one that takes up most of your time, and also perhaps the one that's growing the fastest?
No, actually, I mean, facilities management is where we started 8 or 9 years ago, actually. So that's our largest business. The project management advisory business is very consulting heavy, or it's kind of higher margin consulting revenue. So it's very different in nature. So it's not as in terms of volumes, facilities and the contracting business are the biggest. But, this is something that's kept us fairly busy.
So Rishabh, I've got to ask you this, and you may not like it, but the facilities management also is a business which is being carried out by global giants, right? Whether it's a Cushman & Wakefield, a CBRE, a JLL, right? How do you convince clients that no, you come to SILA, don't go to them?
Right. So look, it's been a challenge. There's a ton of them. There's Sodexo, there's ISS, there's a lot of them. There's also a lot of large listed Indian players, right? You have SIS, and Quest Corp has a big facilities management division as well. What we've done differently is built a lot of tech, right? So facilities management is not a very fancy business. It's not a tech business. It's operationally driven. So what we did is we built a lot of tech to enable it, build it very efficiently. We focus a lot on customer experience. If you look at the way the world is moving, everyone wants a better experience at work. Residents want a better experience in the place they live. People traveling through airports want a better experience where they are and when they're traveling through the airport. So we focus not only on maintenance, but we also look at the overall experience of the person occupying that space. That's something that's really worked well for us, and so we've been able to compete. We have our pros and cons, but we've been able to compete and grow fairly heavily over the last few years.
Rishabh, I've got to ask you this. It is a very competitive market that you're in, and there's obviously something that really impressed Norwest. How did you pitch to Norwest? Can you share that for the viewers of Startup Central? Because I think a lot of the young entrepreneurs, founders, startups, that's the first thing we get asked, what makes a good pitch? And you've obviously done something right.
So Norwest was not really our first investor. So I think the first thing we did was we had an existing investor who we actually, so the money that came in from Norwest was a part secondary, part primary. And what we had done initially is shown great growth and a great return to our angel investor. He actually made, I think, around 35-40x on his exit. So, you know, that was one thing where we'd shown the growth. The thing that I think worked with us in Norwest is we've been focused on margin and cash flow, right? So where unlike a lot of their other investments, which are more tech driven, ours was different in a way. So I think that may have worked, but our focus has been on cash flow, you know, EBITDA, not number of customers, revenue, all the stuff that we believe is vanity. So it's been I mean, fundamentally, it's a fairly solid business. We've been growing at about 45 to 50% year on year, CAGR for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. So it's high growth, good margins, healthier margins than I would believe most of our competitors as well. And the overall market size, I think, was something that is attractive, right? You see how Quest has grown, how SIS has grown over the years. What India is seeing, so our core business is facilities management, and what India is seeing is a clear shift from the unorganized to the organized sector, whether it's maintaining your building or even building your office. You're now having to work with more organized players. So as we see that entire shift moving from unorganized to organized, the market size is, you know, just expanding. So I think those are the few things that must have driven them, and hopefully the management team was good enough and does deliver on what they've bet on.
Okay, I'm going to make this my final question, Rishabh. And, you know, taking off a little bit from what I asked you about the other global giants that are in India, and then you brought up the Indian equity, Indian listed companies. Would you say your client list is primarily made up of homegrown or domestic companies, not multinational? Because is that a big challenge as well? Because they would just go with names they're familiar with around the world.
Yeah, so I mean, look, when we started off, it was very skewed towards the homegrown companies, the Tatas and Piramals and the Bombay Airport, for example. But what's happened is once you achieve critical mass, right, which we did about a year or two ago, and you cross that 100 crore barrier, you start being invited and being seen more by even some of the global players that have mandates that are run out of India. So can we compete with some of these global guys on an account for an Apple or an Amazon? We can't. We don't have offices all over the world. We actually do tend to work with them sometimes and partner with them once in a while. But you know, we are starting to see a lot more global business. We have got a few solid global clients off late. So you know, it was a challenge. We think it'll become less and less of a challenge as we grow.
Okay, Rishabh, with that, thanks so much for joining us here on Startup Central. I wish you all the very best. That's a startup that is showing you how it can compete with global giants, large listed players, and in a space which is hyper competitive.